Welcome to the tutorial for Nockology, the Archery Scoring App. So to start recording a new round, make sure that you have the Rounds tab selected and tap the Add button. This will take you to a new screen where you can set up options for the round. The date will default to now but can be changed. The venue is required. Tap to select. You can choose an existing venue or you can add a new one by tapping the Add button. Enter the name of the new venue and then save, and then select it. You can also edit and delete venues, so from the venue selection screen, swipe left to delete a venue, or tap edit and then the venue that you wish to edit. Make any changes, tap save, tap done, and then tap to select. The bow is also required. Tap to select. You can choose an existing bow that you have set up, or if you want to store details for a new bow, then tap the Bows tab at the bottom of the screen. Tap Add, enter a name for your bow, select the bow type, and tap Done. I'll explain the attributes and sight marks options later in the video. Tap to go back. Tap the Rounds tab to go back to the round setup and you'll see the bow that you've just created. Select the bow that you want. I'm going to select the recurve. The arrows section is optional. If you want to record which arrows you are using, you need to set them up in the Arrows tab at the bottom of the screen. Tap Add, enter a name for your arrows, enter the make, enter the model, and you can enter any other information that you want. Tap Save, go back to the Rounds tab, and then you have the option of selecting those arrows. The Round section is where you can choose from a huge library of international archery rounds. If you don't find the round that you were looking for, then you can create your own custom round, and I'll show you how to do that later. Tap to select round. Tap in the search bar. For this example, we will search for the World Archery 70 metre round, WA 70. The information shown here tells you that it is an outdoor round with 10 zone scoring from 1 to 10. It's a target archery round with a maximum score of 720. The round consists of one section of 72 arrows, shot at 70 metres on a 122 centimetre target face. You can see below in the 1440 round that the round can be made up of multiple sections with different numbers of arrows at different distances on different sized target faces. For now, we will select the WA 70 round, which will then appear in the round setup screen. You can select practice or tournament as required. Some rounds will have the option to record X-ring hits, and you can toggle this as required. The score input section gives you the option to either manually enter the scores using a number keypad, or to plot the arrows on a target face and the scores will automatically be calculated. For this example, we will leave it set on keypad. For outdoor rounds, there is an option to download the current weather information. The first time you select this, you'll be asked to grant permission to fetch your location. I recommend that you select Allow while using the app. Tap to get the latest weather. Weather requests can only be made once every 10 minutes as this uses a free service. From this screen you can set preferences for the temperature, wind and pressure units as required. Tap back. Wind component is a feature which allows you to set the compass direction that you will be facing the target, and the app will then be able to calculate the relative wind direction and speed. Tap wind component and then tap find direction. Hold the device flat, standing on the shooting line, and aim your device towards the target and tap Save when done. The arrow will then show you the direction of the current wind and the speeds. Tap back when you're done. End timer is an option to set up a timer when you're practicing. You can set the amount of time per end and whether you want the timer to play sounds, vibrate, and whether to give you a warning when there is 30 seconds left. We will turn it off for this example. The results section below will update as the round progresses. And the personal best section will tell you what your previous personal best score was for this round and when you achieved it. And finally, there's a section at the bottom for any notes that you wish to make. So when you're ready to start recording your scores, tap the Scoresheet button in the top right corner of the screen. This will take you to the score sheet. Tap N number 1 to record your scores. Use the keypad to enter your scores. If you make an error, just tap the delete button. When you're happy, tap confirm. You will now see the score sheet populated for N number 1. Tap N number 2 to record the next end. If you want to take a photograph of the arrows in the target face, tap the camera icon in the top right. This will save a photograph to your camera roll with some metadata text at the top of the photograph. Photos are not saved within the app due to the amount of storage space that they would take up. Again, tap confirm when you're done. Let's enter one more by tapping N number 3, entering the scores and tapping confirm. To the right of each end is the total score for each end and the running total. At the bottom of the section you'll see the total hits, tens, average arrow score and total. To view current statistics, tap the chart icon in the top right. Here you'll see some data about your performance and a chart at the bottom showing the total number of individual arrow scores. If you tap the control below and select ends, then you'll see your end score as the round progresses. Tap back when you're done to return to the score sheet. Okay, I've skipped ahead so that the round is now complete. To produce a score sheet in PDF format, tap the PDF icon at the top of the score sheet. Here you can enter information that you want to appear on the score sheet and both the archer and scorer can sign the sheet. Select whether you want the second highest arrow score total shown, in this case 9s, and whether you want your notes to appear at the bottom of the score sheet. If you don't like the colours, then you can choose your own by selecting the colour theme. Tap Create in the top right to produce the PDF score sheet, and here's the finished score sheet. Tap Share in the top right and then you can send or store the score sheet using various options depending on what apps you are using on your own device. Now let's set up a new round and record the arrows using a target face rather than the keypad. So from the Rounds tab, let's add a new round. We'll select WA70 and in the Score Input section we will select Target. You will see some other options now appear below. There is an option to show a marker on the target face which can either show the average or median centre of your arrow grouping. Personally I find median is better as it is not affected as much by one or two rogue arrows. If you want to record each arrow by its own identification number, you can switch the toggle switch on and I'll show you how that works shortly. Tap the score sheet button in the top right to get started. Tap N number 1 to record your arrows. The target face will auto zoom. The amount of zoom can be set in the Settings tab and this defaults to 3 times zoom. Then simply plot each arrow and the score will be updated automatically. You can delete the last plotted arrow replot and tap confirm when you're done to return to the score sheet. Let's switch on arrow identifiers. Back to the score sheet, tap N number 2. Now each time you plot an arrow, you'll be prompted to enter the identifier, which will then be displayed on the target face. Press confirm when you're done. Okay, I've skipped ahead again and completed the round. If you now tap the target icon on the top bar, this will show you the position of all the arrows that you have shot and the average or median position. If you have been recording arrow identifiers, this is where you can also show the position of your individual arrows. This can be really useful if you always have one particular arrow that is going rogue. Tap the arrow plus and arrow minus keys to cycle through each arrow. You can see from this that arrow 3 is grouping to the left, indicating that there may be a problem with that particular arrow. In the Statistics tab, you can see your personal best scores for each round that you have shot and the score history for that round over time. You can also manually enter your PB score and date if you want to update it from previous records. Moving back, the arrows shot section shows a summary of the total number of arrows that you have shot each week. You can change the year by selecting it. Now let's take a look at the Settings tab. Here you can view a library of pre-configured rounds. These cannot be changed by the user, they are just for browsing. User-defined rounds is where you set up a custom round, which I'll demonstrate shortly. There's an option to turn off haptic feedback, which are the tactile vibrations that you get when you tap buttons in the app. The target auto zoom is the amount of auto zoom of the target face when scoring. The backup and restore section allows you to create an account so that you can make a backup of your stored data. This is particularly useful if you're going to change devices, but I recommend doing it fairly regularly depending on how much you shoot and how much you value your data. Now let's look at creating custom rounds, which are called user-defined rounds in the app. This is an advanced feature of the app and allows you to pretty much set up any type of round you want. Tap user-defined rounds to get started. Tap add to add a new round. Enter a name for the round. I'm going to call this one Indoor Practice. Type defaults to target, which is what you want to leave it on for most purposes. Target brackets sets is a special type of round where you're going head to head with an opponent and you get set points depending on who scores the most points in each set. If you do this, please note you can only record your scores in the app, not your opponent's. Match play will activate another option in the round configuration screen where you can select the stage of an event. For example, 164 or quarterfinals. For normal rounds, leave this set to no. Select outdoors or indoors. Indoors will not have the weather option available in the configuration screen. Set the distance unit to meters or yards. We'll leave it set to meters. Then select the scoring method used. There are a lot of options here, so it is very important that you select the correct one. If you're using target face plotting, then this must be set correctly. For example, if you select 10 zone 1 through 10 scoring, but select a 5 zone target face in the next step, the scores will not be plotted correctly. For this example, I will select the standard 10 zone archery target face with scoring zones 1 through 10. You then need to select the number of arrows that you shoot in each end. This is normally 3 or 6. But you can select whatever you need. Let's leave this set to 6 for now. Now this next part is very important. You must set up at least one configuration for your custom round. You will see that the configurations button currently shows ×0, which means there are no configurations set up and 0 total score for the round. A configuration means the number of arrows at a specific distance and target face. You may just want one configuration, but you can have multiple configurations if your round is going to comprise of different distances and possibly different sized target faces. Let's set up a configuration. Tap the Configurations button, tap the Add button to add a configuration, set the number of arrows, which will be in multiples of the number of arrows per end that you previously set up. I want 60 arrows, and it will increase in multiples of 6. Set the distance, I want 18. Select the target face. Again, it is very important that this matches the scoring method that you previously selected. In this case, I want to use a 40 centimeter target face for this practice round. We previously selected 10 zone 1 through 10 scoring, so we want a normal 40 centimeter face. If we had selected a 5 zone target 6 through 10 scoring method, then we would select the 40 centimeter 5 zone target, which only shows the 6 to 10 rings. The maximum score for this section will automatically be calculated. In this case, 60 arrows with a maximum score of 10 points each will be 600. Tap Save and you'll see a list of all the configurations. Tap back and you'll see the Configurations button now shows one configuration, maximum score 600. If we wanted to add another configuration to this round, tap back on the Configurations button, tap Add. Let's say we want to shoot another 60 arrows at 25 meters on a 60 centimeter target face. Set that up and then tap Save. You will now see both configurations. These can be edited by tapping on them if required now or later. Tap back and it will now show two configurations with a maximum score of 1200. Tap back again and you will see your custom round in the user-defined library. Now let's set up a round using our new custom round. So from the Rounds tab, tap Add, set the venue and the bow, tap Select Round. This time tap User Defined at the top to show your custom rounds. Tap to select our indoor practice. Set any other options that you like. Tap the Scoresheet button to start. Here you will now see our two configurations set up with the 18 meter 40 centimeter first, followed by the 25 meter 60 centimeter second. I now want to cover the Bows tab in more detail. From here you can store details for different bows and configurations. If we tap My Bow, and in the next screen you can edit the bow name and the bow type. There are then two options for attributes and sight marks. Tap Attributes. Here you can store any information or settings that you like. Let's add an attribute for brace height. Tap Add, enter brace height, enter a value, tap Save. Go back, tap Sight Marks. Here you can record all your sight marks for the current bow configuration. To add a new sight mark, tap Add, set the distance, select meters or yards. Bar position is to record the horizontal position where your sight bar is screwed to the riser. Then enter the sight mark and tap Save. If you have sight marks for both meters and yards, then you can display only meters or yards if required. Finally, I want to show you how to filter your list of rounds and create reports. From the Rounds tab, if you tap the hamburger icon in the top left, there are options to filter rounds, clear filter, and export to PDF. Filter rounds allows you to only display rounds which meet any search options which you can set up here. For example, to only show rounds between certain dates or a specific round or a specific venue, and tap Apply when you're done. So we filtered the WA 70 rounds here. Tapping the hamburger icon again and export to PDF. will generate a list of all rounds or filtered rounds if you have applied search criteria. Again, you can send or save this by tapping on the Share button in the top right corner. That's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoy using the app. If you have any questions or feedback, then please do contact me by email by tapping the Support and Feedback button in the Settings tab.